But we've saved the best for last, Brian.
That's right.
I'll preface this and then we'll sync everything up. We'll tell everybody how. But basically, I've told part of this story before. The idea to bring Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, the Fantastics, into Charlotte was mine because at that time we had gone through some substandard programs, me and the Midnight. The New Breed had a car accident. Nikita quit the business. We were working a little bit with Nikita and Dusty, but he quit the business. His wife got sick and he had taken that time off, and just a bunch of shit had not coalesced for us in about 6 months. And we knew we needed to get back in the picture, being able to do what we can do, which is tear the house down, having a match and a babyface team that we can get some sympathy on and get some heat over. And Bobby and Tommy were, I believe, in Dallas at that time, which was really in bad shape business-wise. And I'd called Bobby. I said, if I can get you here, will you come? And he, of course. So I sat down with Dusty and I made the big pitch. I said, these guys are the best babyface team in the ring in the business. It's the closest we can get to recreating the magic with the Rock and Roll Express. Here's an idea for how we can bring them in and make a blah, blah, blah. And he went for it. And my thought was that we would do the first match. The Midnight Express were the United States Tag Team Champions. We'd beaten everybody and blah, 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 and done all this and that. So we'll just take on the Fantastics in a match on syndicated TV. A new tag team coming in, blah, blah, blah. It's a non-title match because since they haven't been in the NWA before, obviously they wouldn't be in line for a United States Tag Team title match. And we put them over. That was on the first syndicated television program that we did with them. They beat us by using our own rocket launcher finish against us. Non-title, but holy shit. And people, as you remember, they went fucking, wasn't that in Norfolk, Virginia? I believe it was. They went nuts. So then we come back, the Clash of Champions. And this is all in the first couple weeks the Fantastics had been in the territory. And we hadn't even started working with them in the house shows yet. But I also knew that while we needed to give the Fantastics credibility, if they beat the Midnight Express 1, 2, 3 with our own fucking move, clean in the middle of the ring, then that means the fans know that they're supposed to take them seriously. But that also means that they got the last word on us. That there's no reason to buy a ticket to see the matches at the house shows or give a fuck because we didn't do anything to the Fantastics. So in this match where they get a U.S. tag title match because they've beaten the champions a week or two before, this time we got to end up with heat. It was Dusty's finish. The syndication match was mine. This was Dusty's finish, but that's all he gave us was the finish. He wanted to do the 2 referee thing. He wanted to tease that the Fantastics had won the belts, but then that gets reversed and we get some heat on them. I was never a fan of the second referee finish after Eddie Graham did it the first time and it worked in the 60s. Because it can't plausibly happen on a regular basis that this same quirk of fate keeps happening, but it was overdone. But I said, okay, we got the double referee thing, but we're going to, certainly we'll tear the house down with everything else. And that's when, besides getting there and being surprised by Eddie Haskell, we got there and they told us, because of the long match in the main event, because of the television time constraints, 8 minutes for the match. That would mean 10 minutes with entrances in and out, right? And I was dumbfounded because we never had big show matches that short. And I was still learning the peculiarities of live television, etc. We never had house show matches that short. We never had big show matches that short. Our thing with the Fantastics, the way this was going to get over, was that we go out and have the great tag team matches. And Bobby and Tommy's teamwork was so good, and they had great double team moves, and so did we. And we would shine the baby faces with all this action, and then we'd get heat on them and make them sell and get sympathy on them. It's hard to do that quick. So we didn't have a match planned. You didn't do that back then. But we obviously, because we'd worked together so many times, so many different places, we had shit we were planning to do. 8 minutes with an angle afterwards. 10 minutes for introductions, entrances, match, and angle afterwards. Fuck. So we went back and sat down, and I said, the only way we can do this is just to go back to Memphis. And if we're going to give them 10 minutes, it's going to be the goddamnedest 10 minutes they've ever seen in their life. And there's no reason for a hot baby faces to hit the ring and jump start it, because they beat us in the only time that we've met. So they wanted me in the ring to introduce the Midnight coming out of break, because we're the recognized team. That'll snag them. And then the Fantastics to come out second. I said, why wouldn't we jump them before they got their feet under them? Let the heels jump start it. And because we're pissed that we got beat, but then the baby faces turn the fucking tables. And then it's a schmoz. And we're in fucking Memphis. And we went in with, okay, we're gonna go crazy. We're gonna brawl. Then we kept a spot that I'd been intending to do in a regular match that we'll talk about when we see it, where Bobby and Tommy come out from the defensive end and shoot Bobby and Stan off, and they do the double upside downs. That's a match or a spot that I was thinking about we'd do in a match that I thought we might have. We had a heat spot, which was the double goozle on Tommy Rogers. That'll start the real heat. And then we had our finish, which was a false tag, and with Bobby Fulton drawing the referee, telling him to get out, that we would triple up on Tommy Rogers, and Bobby would just lose his fucking mind and throw the referee over the top rope and attack us. And then the Fantastics would come out on top with the rocket launcher again. Second referee would slide in 1, 2, 3 and count it. People would think they were the new champions, but the first referee would come back in, take the belts away, call the DQ, and then we get some heat. That's what we had down in our minds to do for this match that we're about to look at, and we figured the rest of it will all take place as it happens. And that's pretty much what we did, and we had the misfortune of being underneath the match of the year, because we got fucking runner-up match of the year on the same fucking show. And what was the Observer and Matt Watch and all those different places that people voted back then, because this was different. It was not only was it a different Midnight Express match, it was a different kind of match. Most of the NWA matches weren't exactly like this. This was good old-fashioned Memphis wild shit. And that type of stuff wasn't called because you couldn't call it, because you didn't really know what was going to happen until you got out there. So we used to just say, that's what Lawler would give a match. The first 10 minutes of the match, he'd just say, just wild. 10 minutes later, now get some heat. That was the instruction you got. Wild. Just be wild.
I'm sure there's something that I can't think of right now, but off the top of my head, I think this may have been like the wildest match anyone would have seen on TV. I mean, you didn't have matches like this on TV, where it was just a brawl around ringside. I mean, now it's commonplace, and I think it's important to reinforce that, because someone who wasn't around back then or hasn't really gone through any of that old footage, they may think, oh, tag team wrestling was like this, just wild brawls. There was nothing like this on TV, on WWF or NWA TV at the time.
No, because even if you had a main event match on free television, which was still rare in those days, it was done as an angle or to increase interest or whatever. But you still, only in Memphis did they just say, fuck it. You know, it was a Memphis main event. We're just going to we're going to rattle furniture around, tear shit up. No, you did not see main event level matches, much less wild brawls on free television in those days. And so this was especially, holy shit. But it was different also than the other NWA matches, because Crockett Promotions in the 70s, you know, they had been even more conservative. In the 70s, Crockett's house shows, first match was always a 20-minute Broadway, because that got the people in their seats, because they're running big buildings. They got thousands of people to sit down. Nothing before intermission was allowed to have any contact on the floor with each other whatsoever. No fighting on the floor before intermission. A lot of strict rules, because they were concentrating on building their main events and their money matches. When Dusty took the book, he loosened things up considerably and brought more of a Florida flavor into things. But still, here's another thing I guess I should mention before we watch this. Not a goddamn person had a clue we were going to do any of this. We went out and did it on our own. And Bobby and Tommy were kind of shitting because they'd only been there for 2 weeks. But we said, look, we'll take the fucking heat. We're going to do this. We're going to use some shit because we're going to give them 10 goddamn minutes they're going to remember, and we're going to break some shit to do it. But if it sucks, we'll take the heat, and we're going to get yelled at. It's not your fault. You're the new guys. And if it's good, nobody's going to say anything to us because it was so fucking good. We did not get any heat. But anyway.
What do you think Tully and Arn were thinking watching this, knowing they have to have a big match later in the show?
They were thinking those motherfuckers, they got to go on first. Well, but they had Barry Windham and Lex Luger. Two big main event, and I'm not even talking about quality of talent between the Fantastics and Windham and Luger. I'm talking about two guys recognized with track records as main event stars, and we have two baby faces that the people in North Carolina have seen once on television. So we needed a little fucking pick-me-up. They had some, and also theirs was the world tag title. Ours was just the United States tag title. And they got a little bit more time. So everything worked out. And they tore the house down too. Anyway, how are we going to tell the people how to set this thing up?
Okay, a few different things. Obviously, go to the WWE Network if you are a subscriber and go to Clash of the Champions 1. Once you are there, you can go to the timestamp 15:51. 15 minutes and 51 seconds into the broadcast. Pause it, and we will begin at that point. An easier way, if you have the option underneath the video player to jump to a specific segment, obviously just click the one that says Midnight Express versus Fantastics U.S. tag titles. It will take you right to this point, 15:51. Jim,
I was about to say, having said that, are you ready?
All right, Jim. Well, if we're ready to go, what we're going to do is we're going to count down from 5. We're going to say 1, and then after 1, click play.
Is it 3 or after the 1, 2, 3 go, or 1, 2 go on 3?
Exactly. That's the problem I'm anticipating everyone out there having. So right now, 15:51 is the time. Clash of the Champions 1 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play.
Boom. And there's my lovely face. That's what the viewers came back to. Actually, they came back to a 1-second shot of the Cornette for President banner, which they apparently edited out here. I don't know. Anyway, I hate that middle aisle. Look, no people. That's the first time they used it for TV and had the barricades back. It was great for people not attacking you, but it was an empty fucking blotch when you looked at it from the hard camera. I didn't like that. Anyway, you notice the Midnight Express introduced and in the ring in 45 seconds. We ain't wasting any time. Hello to the girl in the red. I haven't seen you in a long time. Wish I could remember what her name was. Anyway, Pee Wee Anderson, the referee. Pee Wee was the one who famously ripped his shirt off and did Hulk Hogan poses on the bar of the Lighthouse in Alexandria when Dr. Death and Hercules Hernandez beat the whole bar up. Here comes Bobby and Tommy. There's a Bobby ear tug to say hello to his girlfriend right there. There we go. And now, boom, less than a minute and a half in, here we go. Ding, ding. Tom Miller didn't know this was going to happen, and he can't get the fuck out of there. We told nobody what we were going to do. We just said, fuck it, here we go. But the people were into it because they'd seen the TV. They knew what the fuck. They knew we were mad. I love this part here. Stan takes his own post. They're calling us as they go. And Bobby's rolling concrete bumps. Boom. And coming up here in a second, Bobby Eaton, too many Bobbies. Bobby Eaton's trying to tell Bobby Fulton, just stop, duck. There we go. Boom. Shit. Oh. And watch this in the middle of this craziness. Here in a second, Stan and Tommy Rogers are going to do a drop-down hip toss leapfrog. Right? And Stan loved that. In the middle of goddamn brawl, he's doing drop-down leapfrogs. You just had to keep the shit moving. And poor Pee Wee trying to take control of shit. Now watch this. Bobby wanted to do something here. Bobby Eaton did. And they wouldn't settle down and listen to him. He's trying to gouge everybody's eyes. And finally he just says, fuck it. I'll go out here. I told Stan, I said, I'm calling for a chair spot. I said, run him into the fucking chair. While the Bobbies are throwing the table around. Here we go. Tommy Rogers head first in the chair. The photographers are running. I mean, I guess we are used to it. And plus, I started in Memphis, but you're right. Nobody was doing this shit on TV back then.
Nobody.
And it's not like everybody was cooperating to try to build this erector set of, tables and chairs and ladders to climb onto. We're just hitting people with blunt instruments as they happen by.
How dangerous is that table with the legs up?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be there that way, and we didn't have time to worry about it. It'll come back into play in a second. Bobby Fulton also was not happy when he caught one of those chairs that cut his palm of his hand. Anyway, now you see this. Boom. Where are they going here? I'm pretty sure coming up. We're going into, yes, the blind tag. Boom, there's the blind tag hand-to-hand by the Fantastics behind Bobby's back. Uh-oh, that was a spot actually I'd come up with we were going to do in the original tag match, and it still made it. But yeah, coming up into the double upside down. Bobby Eaton hated this. He hadn't done this bump in 5 years, and he missed it. He didn't quite hang it. Stan got his. But once again, the people are, oh, shit, because there are people flying everywhere. And it looks like a fight. You don't have to stop and cooperate. Here just in a couple of seconds, I believe is where, remember I've told you I was wearing a watch, so I was keeping time. And right here in a second, I'm going to buzz the boys. It's time for the heat spot, which we knew was the double goozle on Tommy. As a matter of fact, I just told Stan, I'm telling Stan, time for the heat.
Covering your mouth with the racket.
Yes, Stan buzzed Bobby. Let's get to heat. Here we go. Tag, reversal. Rogers doesn't know the other guy's legal. Double goozle. Boom. Now we've changed the tide. Now we're in this so far for less than 5 minutes. We've got to get some fucking heat. And you can listen to the fans during the time they were getting the heat on Tommy. Every time he would fucking fire up or throw a punch or fight back or show some life. They were into it with him. We didn't give them time to stop and fucking dwell on what else was going on in the world. They were in this moment. Here's this kick. Tommy Rogers was the right height, and his selling was so good. It's the best Stan Lane's kicks ever looked. I'm seriously. It takes both. It takes both people. And plus, Tommy he would go up like a feather on a slam. Tommy Rogers, I could slam him. I looked like Harley Race. I tried to pick up Bobby Fulton. He felt like Happy Humphrey. And now, boom, Bobby decides about this time. Oh, I've just told Stan, draw the referee, because I told Bobby when he was on the apron, next time you get in, throw Tommy into the table. Boom, there's the table spot. The table was laying there.
I've never seen anyone else do that spot.
Okay, well, it was laying there. And what the fuck? So I had told Stan, get in and draw the referee. I told Bobby while he was on the apron, the next time you jump in, just throw Tommy in the table. The funny part was Bobby had picked Tommy Rogers up and said, watch the table. And Tommy said, what table? And he told me later, all of a sudden, he saw this table rising up like out of the fucking ground. And he ran into it. Boom. But that's when you're calling something, that's what you say. You're going to punch somebody, watch the fist. You're going to shoot somebody off for an elbow, watch the elbow. Watch the table. And watch this. This is fucking beautiful. Boom, Bobby, power slam, boom, and it hurt him, and he couldn't capitalize. Oh, but now he gets over. Oh, is he going to cover? No, he's not. He's going to the top. Bobby's just realized he hadn't come off the top yet. You got to get one of those in. We're rushing. I admit, we're rushing. And now is when he's hurt himself and he couldn't cover. And he makes the tag out.
Tommy Rogers is great at selling.
Oh, my God. And just the body language and the limp raggedness. Nice side salto. And then Stan wants to draw Bobby in one more time. And I think coming up here shortly, we may be getting into the... Oh, no, it's still a couple minutes yet before we get into the bad part, the worst part of Tommy's night. But see, now they're being vicious. They're gouging his eyes. They're beating him up. They're cutting the ring off. Stan on the fly called something. So Bobby said, instead of coming back in, I'll come off here. Boom. Done. Do you see any obvious mistakes? Do you see anybody standing around waiting, trying to figure out what to fucking do? And they don't know what, this is the big part. They're not trying to standing around figuring out what to do because they don't know what they're going to do next until they do it. Can you imagine trying to remember all this shit and make it look natural? Just go with the fucking flow. Look at Bobby or Tommy firing back. Listen to the people. And then watch these fucking shots. Boom. It's not a UFC punch, but you can't tell it's bullshit. I hate that wide shot. I believe I've mentioned that big empty area where there should be people on the floor. And once again, Stan just said sunset flip. But the referee was with Bobby Fulton. So Bobby Eaton gets a chance to fuck. It's a hope spot. Simple as that. Doesn't require a lot of advanced pre-planning. Now we're coming up on the part. Stan goes to tag Bobby. Bobby says, no, dump him out. Stan says, okay. Stan's going to dump him out on the floor. Did you see me just look at my watch? I'm saying we barely got any time left. You actually saw me show Bobby the wrist. Now, referee's backing Bobby Fulton up. Bobby Eaton has seen this. Why not? It's a flat table. Eep, boom, flat slam. Holy shit, you don't see that every day, and it was jarring. And that's, now I've told Bobby, I said, we got to be going any old time now, right? And as a matter of fact, I think I'm passing that word on. I said, don't worry, we're going, right there when I was over the top of the announce desk. What we didn't realize was that Bobby is going to add this one little thing that's going to cost us an extra minute. Bobby decides he wants to bulldog Tommy Rogers on the table. Now, the shot is the shits, but he bulldogs Tommy Rogers on the table. Bobby Eaton's weight hit one side and it flipped the other side up. So instead of going flat, there's concern. Instead of going flat, the side of Tommy's face blasted into the table that was flipping up. It deviated his septum. I don't know if it broke his nose or just dislocated it. And his eye started swelling up and he's starting to go blind. Bobby's still saying hello to his girlfriend. But Tommy Rogers is telling him that he doesn't know what fucking time it is right now. And Pee-wee's trying to say, get back the corner. Pee-wee's saying, go home, go home. Bobby Fulton's saying, we're going to. And Tommy Rogers is saying, what time does the bus get here? Because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. We're losing a minute. Finally, we determined that Tommy can continue. Actually, we didn't determine that. He just crawled back close enough we could get him. Tommy Rogers at this point actually cannot see. He's blind. The optic nerve has been pressed on. And Stan says, watch this. Drop toe, hold elbow. And Tommy says, what Stan said first said, are you okay? And Tommy said, I can't see. And then Stan said, drop toe, hold elbow, and just held on to him all the way to the ropes and back. So Tommy couldn't see where he was going, but he didn't have to. And now Bobby's like, all right, can we get through with this? And there's a little more vamping. And then finally he said, okay, we can do this. We're going to get it. Just fire up. Boom, boom, boom. Block, shot on Stan. Dive over, makes the tag, but the referee doesn't see it. And Tommy's like, thank God this shit's almost over. Fucking here's the triple team behind the referee's back. Bobby Fulton throws Pee-wee over the top and says, fuck it, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. Here was just a little nod to, boom, a racket shot so I can take the bump. And this sets up the rocket launcher in the perfect place. And Bobby trying to fucking get up, back down in the right position, right in the nick of time. Second referee, Tommy Young. And listen to that crowd. Tommy Rogers still can't figure out where the fuck he's at. When he went back in the locker room and blew his nose, both of his eyes swelled up shut completely with blood. And he had to take, I forget whether it was a week off or what the fuck it was, but his whole goddamn face was fucked. And there he's supposed to go into the post, but he didn't get it good. So he told Stan, he said, give it to me again. Okay. Whoop, into the post. Now we've got poor Bobby Fulton. Well, further, and Pee-wee was not happy about that one. We're overtime now. We've been out here for this has only been not even 13 minutes. Bobby hurt his fucking wrist on that because we rushed it and he put his hands down instead of taking them on his forearms. But here's the meat of the matter. This is going to end up in July at the Great American Bash with the Fantastics whipping me. But this is March, and we're going to whip the shit out of him. And I apologize to Bobby beforehand, but he was screaming, Tommy, 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 anybody help me.
You really went to town on him.
Until poor Tommy comes in with the fucking chair and still practically beat to death. And then Tommy Young will not let me forget about this one to this day. Corny, God damn it. And that's how you, in less than 13 minutes, tear the fucking Greensboro Coliseum apart. And nobody yelled at us because it was good. Except Pee-wee saw the steps down there at the nick of time and didn't take a very good bump. I hate middle stairs as well because that's an injury looking to happen. Nice looking racket shot. Decent bump for the fucking fat manager. And there you have it.
Well, your winners, the Midnight Express by disqualification.
By disqualification. And then that led to the match that we had in May I believe it was May or maybe late April in Chattanooga at the UTC Arena, where we had that third in the trilogy that everybody makes over, where we went the whole hour on syndicated television, and they did beat us after a teased referee stoppage and did win the fucking match. And that when Bobby Eaton had 102-degree fever and had been throwing up all day, and Bobby Fulton lost some fucking, I think he was juiced in that one, wasn't he? He lost some blood. Anyway, this was my favorite match out of the bunch because we overachieved with the spot that we were given. But the other two were better tag team wrestling matches, in my opinion. And there you have it. What a way to close the show.
We've been doing this for like 6 hours now.
Well, but it doesn't seem that long. See, instead of AEW has a 2-hour show, it seems like it takes 5 hours to watch. We just had a 12-and-a-half-minute match. Seemed like it went by in seconds.